Okay. Good evening, everybody. So today we'll be discussing tax planning and strategy, right? It's supposed to be 5 things I put here, right? That I'll be discussing today. I want to put four, but that's by the way. So we all it's no longer news, and that's why we're here. Next year we'll be starting. A lot of people think it's more like a new tax year, but like we consultants always tell you, there's always been tax. The only thing that's changing is enforcement and some new adjustments to the law, right? So what do we do, especially for those people that have never filed before, right? So what do you do? How do you plan for taxes? How do you avoid taxes as much as possible, right? What basically do you have to do? So I listed 5 things which we're going to be discussing here today. And number one is better record keeping, right? I know we've all been talking about okay, if you have a business, make sure you have all your proper descriptions and all of that, right? But the truth is, your bank description is not what you're going to submit to FIRS or the tax body. What you're going to probably submit are financial statements, right? While a good bank description is a good way to start, right? If you've kept records before, yeah, that is just basically one of the source documents, right? So whatever you're doing for big transactions, you probably want to also get invoices from your customers, from your vendors. Um, you basically want to have a good track record for everything, right? In as much as possible. Why bank transactions are a good way to start. Having what you probably refer to as a double factor authentication is also a good way, right? If you are taking loans, ensure that you have your contracts, your payment methods clearly sorted out, right? Because these are the things that will back up whatever it is that you're claiming to deduct for tax purposes, right? If you don't have good records, if you cannot back whatever uh, is in your financial statement, all the line items, right? The taxman will just use you and wipe the floor. They will just be removing all the expenses, right? What's it called now? That you are claiming. There's one philosophy I have, right? No matter what you claim or whatever you file, right? I even pay. The taxman will always ask for more because they already have it in the back of their mind that see if my strategy spelling is not correct. They already have it at the back of their mind that the average Nigerian person will not tell them the truth. So they will just share and be assuming and be assuming. So the burden of truth, right? When it comes to tax, always know that the burden of truth is on you, right? You have to prove what it is that you filed. And the only ways to prove it is for you to keep good records, right? You want to keep good records. And while I would have loved to say, okay, oh, for those people that want bookkeeping services, come and employ me is a service I really shy away from, right? But for those people who probably cannot afford and want to learn, I'd gladly recommend if you want to learn bookkeeping, I'd probably navigate the accounting software, keep better records for your business. I would gladly recommend Accounting Hub, right? On Instagram, she has a course for that, right? And it's not a course I've taken, but because I've taken some of her other from some of her course, she's more like a mentor in the field to me. When I started my career earlier on, right, I took some of her courses and they were really good. And I want to believe that her record keeping course, her bookkeeping course will be equally as good, right? It's somebody I don't have to take her course, but I can vouch that they will be because of some of her courses I've taken earlier on in my career, like about 5 years ago or so. They were really, really very good, right? I built a business out of it. So basically, for her course, one of the things that actually gingered me to start accounts and data, right? So they were really that in depth and good. So I would recommend that you go to our page, Accounting Hub, and check out that course, right? If it's something you can afford, take it for your business and start keeping better records, right? Uh, Another thing I would want to recommend, the next thing is add your team to your invoices. We know that by next year, now everybody will have their tax ID, right? And this means that for transactions where people will be charging you VAT and withholding tax, they need to remit it on your behalf. So what happens is they can remit it without your team. It simply means that that money will not go to your credit, will not become a credit for you, right? So what you want to do, whatever you're using to do your record keeping, whatever template you're using, ensure that your tax ID is also included. So whoever is charging you, whatever they are charging you, right, also remit that on your behalf to the federal government, right? So that's the idea. So you want to have your tax ID on your what's it called again now? On your invoices, right? So that if, for instance, they're charging you withholding tax, right? They remit it on your behalf to the federal government or to the state government, whichever the case may be, so that you can claim it as a credit, right? Or it can be claimed as a credit for you, right? Then the third thing I would like to speak about is avoid penalties, filing on time, right? So while currently uh, I think they put penalties, especially for VAT filing. The penalties are still there for company income tax, but for VAT filing, they've removed the additional penalties. So if you even file late, you might not attract penalty. But I'm guessing from next year they probably put it back, right? Maybe because of the influx of people and all of that. So you can just be filing and you will not attract penalty. But the law simply says that if you don't file for the first month, it's 50,000 naira, right? And 25,000 naira every other month that you miss. So if, for instance, now, January taxes, you don't file it, right? By February ending, you attach 50,000 naira just penalty alone. Whether you are liable to it or not, whether you are filing zero or not, your late penalty charge will become 50,000. If you leave that same thing to up to June, that same January that you missed will not be adding 25,000 for each month. So for only January alone, that means that you'll be owing over 200,000 to 300,000 naira because of that 25,000 naira. So that's something you probably want to avoid, right? For transactional taxes, okay, so for withholding tax, if you charge withholding tax, you're supposed to file it before the 10th of the. Okay, no, for withholding tax, federal government, that's the FRS, you're supposed to file within 21 days into the new month. That's withholding and value added tax. You're supposed to file 21 days into the new month, right? While for LRS, which is pay, and maybe withholding tax for individuals you withheld tax for, that's LRS, or should I say your state tax? I keep saying LRS because I'm in Lagos, right? Your state tax, you have 10 days into the new month to basically file it, right? So have all of those in mind as you enter the new year so that you file all your taxes appropriately. Then for company income tax, you have 6 months after the end of your accounting year. So if your accounting year ends in December, which most people do, right? You have up to June to prepare your accounts because obviously you need to hire an auditor and all of those things. There's a lot of planning and listening into getting your financial details. This is basically for people who own limited liability companies, right? Compliance and all of those things actually take time. So you have 6 months to do all of that. Then for your personal income tax, for individuals who wish to file personal income taxes, you have 3 months for that, which is January, February, and March, right? So you're supposed to raise an assessment. Right? I'll go for your assessment within those first 3 months, right? So basically, in order to avoid any form of penalties, those are the timeline for you to actually file your taxes. And the number four tip I would give is for you to get a professional, right? The reason why I say you get a professional is because so, for instance, now the policeman calls you that we are needed in the police station. In as much as you know that you've not done anything wrong, the first thing that will get to your head is for you to get a lawyer, right? Because it's not because you cannot defend yourself, no. It's because if you have a lawyer, the treatment, right, they give you is basically different. It's just it's very fact. And another thing, the attack does not come to you, it comes to the lawyer who has the authority to probably speak on your behalf, and he also understands the language of the police or the court or whatever it is, right? They are meant to become a shield to you. Right? I'm not saying you can't do all of these things. There are certain things you probably cannot do yourself, which the only thing you probably cannot do yourself when it comes to taxes are company income tax, which is mandatory that you get an auditor. But other than that, for every other tax, you basically can do it yourself. But if you can afford one, I would recommend you get a lawyer, I mean, a tax consultant, an auditor, whichever the case might require, right? And also recommend one in your local vicinity. So depending on the state where you are and all of those things, because there are times you might have to visit the office, and this is because while we are trying to strive for an autonomous system, there is still a lot of human elements in our tax system, right? There are a lot of things that tax you have to just get done in the tax office, right? So I would strongly recommend that if possible, get somebody local to help you basically with all of these taxes, right? And the last thing I have here is stay updated, right? So there are new policies, new articles, new things. Because as the tax law is unveiling, they are still looking at certain loopholes they are blocking, right? And while I understand that this community or this class will probably be ending by the end of this month, right? That's why I have another one which I would encourage, and I will have a 5%, I say 5%, 5,000 discount for those that are open to join, right, from this community. Because even next year, while the tax year unfolds, you probably will have actual practical questions. They write you a letter. You stocked up somewhere. There's something you want to do. You want to file taxes. You really don't know how to go about it. Whatever the case might be, that is what. So that's community and task force that I've created is basically to support you next year. So that one has a 1 year access, right? If you choose to join, you basically have it more like a similar community like this, right? But you have access from it, especially for when it's even more important, which is next year. So when it comes to tax planning and strategy, like I said, these are basically things that you consider. You want to stay updated. If you can afford a professional, you want to get one. You want to avoid penalties. That's basically filing on time. You want to include your tax ID number on your invoices so that you get all your due credits, right? And you want to improve on your bookkeeping. Bookkeeping is very important because there's this thing I believe, right? You can spend money. For instance, now you can have money that you send to your mother every day from your business, right? And you want it to be deductible. You can call it a marketing expense. So it's not really about where the money is going to, it's about how you treat it, it's about how you classify it, right? So you have your bookkeeping intact. You have, like we talked about, allowable expenses and all of those things before now. Once your with proper bookkeeping it lets you say, okay, if I'm making this kind of transaction, what are the common transactions that you do in your business, right, from day to day, right? How do you want to classify them? So those are the things you probably want to put in place. And all of these things fall under your better record keeping. So it's not really a matter of, yeah, especially for those that want to avoid tax anyway. It's not really a matter of what the transaction is for. Is a matter of what you call it. For instance, now we understand that this is Nigeria. I was going through my comment section. Someone was asking me that, okay, he's into public transportation and Agbero and all of those things. He gives them money. How does he deduct that for tax purposes? The tax law does not allow you to be deducting handshake. But if you understand that, okay, this thing you cannot deduct it for handshake, what can you then call it, right? So when you spend this money, what do you call it? So this is where proper bookkeeping comes in, right? You say, okay, because I know that if I call this bribe or I call it handshake or I call it Agbero money, they will not take it. Can I call it entertainment? Right? Can I call it welfare? Can I call it something that is allowable by law? Right? That is the idea. So you want to have all of these plans, right, even before the year comes, so that you can make we can make proper adjustment to how you keep your records, because this is important. Because when they come knocking, right, that is not the time that for you to start what's it called, preparing, and it might just be too late. You'll not be at the mercy of the taxman. So to get it's better to get the least what's it called now? It's better to get the least tax this thing as possible, right, from the beginning. Then when you come, it's not up to you. When they come, it's up to you to probably prove whatever it is that you're doing. They're not there to run your business. The burden of proof is always on you. They will make assumptions, right, to right. But yes, you will not say, oh, no, 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 that is not what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is for, right? But you can't do all of that. You won't be good enough to do all of that or stand your ground if you don't have good record, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is all for that for today. Let me see, check our questions. What's it called now? Our questions galore. Our questions from, I've never even looked at this thing. So let's see if we have some questions there before we open the call for one-on-one discussions. I've seen using this before. I think we've looked at and oh, I'm not, let me share my screen. Think we've looked at some of these. I think, did I mark it? Let me see if I can remember where we stopped. We have done into construction. Uh, okay, so I'm into construction. I'm trying to locate where I stopped before now. Okay, so I think I remember this case, Tosin Bakery, that was doing business over 500 million bakery, but was still paying VAT. I was like, you see why you need a consultant? You should not be paying VAT for bakery. So let's start from there and let's go to the next one. Logistic. Does a limited company need audited statements even if it earns less than 50 million? Okay, this is a great question, right? So remember, I've always been shouting about compliance cost, right? Now, you need to understand something. As a limited liability company, you are an entity on your own, and you're saying you earn less than 50 million now. The government is not doing your business with you, right? Again, like I said, the burden of proof is on you. And the only way for you to prove it is through an audited financial statement, right? If not, everybody else can come and claim that they are any less than 50 million and nobody will pay tax. So there is a procedure, right, for you to be able to. There is a process. Okay, sorry, I think there's a process for you to follow to prove that you are any less than 50 million, and the process is for you to get an audited financial statement. So once you're a limited liability company, right, whether you're making less than 50 million or over 50 million naira, you need an audited financial statement to file your annual taxes, right? So it is mandatory for you to get an audited financial statement, right? Regardless of whether you're making 50 million, less than 50 million or above, right? So it's mandatory. Uh, Fashion. I am a small business that has not reached 25 million threshold. I registered business name for long now. I upgraded to Tax Pro Max last year. I also I also have a company bank account, but I've never used it. Do I still need to switch to LLC? I have also filed zero on my Tax Pro Max account. but but is not visible. So yes, when you pass zero, right, obviously you're finding zero. There's really nothing. Just after you finish filing, so your returns have been submitted. So there's nothing visible for you to see. You've been filing zero, right? So that is about that. For whether you should switch or not, in my eyes, you basically have not started business because, like you said, you have a corporate account that you've never used, and like I've always been mentioning in this group or in these meetings, right? The number one evidence the bank, should I say, the taxman has on you is your bank statement, right? There's really nothing else for them to prove that you have operations going on other than your bank because they expect that if you're dealing with people, especially people they don't know you, one of the reasons you have a company name is to build trust, right? So when people see, what's it called now, and a company name, there's a trust, right? There's that, okay, you're actually dealing with a legal body. So if you are bold enough not to be using your bank, your company account name for your transactions, it simply means basically you've not had any transactions under that company. That is the definition. So you're good to go. You can tell them that you just commence business or you are yet to commence business and you're good to go. I have an Azure group I belong to. Will they tax me when I receive my own money? So that's basically what's it called? That's basically savings. Nobody's gonna tax your savings, right? Nobody's gonna tax your savings. And I've also said it a number of times, as long as you're not receiving that, as long as you're not receiving that savings into your company account, your personal account, nobody's coming to audit your personal account, right? And now be taxing your job. So that's not how it works. So they don't, even if they want to audit people, they don't have the capacity to audit the accounts of every Nigerian. It's just not possible. We don't have that capacity. So nobody audits the personal account, right? The focus is basically, when it comes to audits, is basically for business accounts, right? That is what is done. Okay, that's the practice. Contract funding. Let's see what we have here. So my aunt sent money from South Africa for her project in Nigeria to my personal account. Will I be taxed for the year 2025? And if yes, what do I need to do going forward? So nobody's going to tax you on that money. Obviously, you have a good proof that your aunt is sending you that money. It's just a way of bringing back money from the abroad to probably invest and all of those things. And the interesting thing is, whatever it is that she's doing those money on, right? They probably be charging VAT and withholding tax for all of those transactions. So indirectly, that money is being taxed. But the particular transaction which you refer to is the money she's sending to you, right? No, that is not taxed. Okay. Uh, that is that. I have a business where I fund contracts and get paid returns. So money is always moving out and coming back to my account. What do you advise? So you have contracts. I'm guessing it's your auntie's contract or maybe similar family and friends where you get paid returns. So ideally, what get taxed is your returns, right? What get taxed is your returns. I don't know the volume. If they're actually large volumes, I would recommend you open a business account or open a business for these contracts. But if it's small contract, just say less than 5, 10 million kind of small things, you probably can still wingo it under your personal account. But if we're talking about hundreds of millions, you want to get a proper business account, right, and start a business, right, or give the business perspective. Okay, please, how do I tell a customer that bought with 1.2 million naira to pay 90,000 naira for VAT? My customers not go wrong because of that. What you can do is show them the tax law, right? But I think there's a lot of publicity when it comes to this tax. Again, if you think your line of business, I'm not a sales guru, but what I would say is, if you think your line of business is might be difficult to convince them to buy with VAT in your invoice, excuse me. What you can do, however, what you can do is what's the word now? What you can do is probably hide your VAT inside your invoice so it does not show, right? Then there's a question of, will your price not be higher than every other person's price? Let's just hope that by next year everybody will do the same thing, right? Because VAT might actually lead to basically set a general increase in the prices of goods and services, right? So basically, there's really no way to go around this. If you are doing the vertible business, you might just want to include it there. And first of all, you've never tried it, you don't know what the reaction would be, right? I understand that Nigerians don't have the tax paying culture, but again, that's just something you might have to figure out because if you don't charge it, you still have the liability to pay, right? You still, unless again, then you say, okay, your profit margins are large enough for you to incur all of these costs in house, right? Then by all means, you can do that. Okay, so what's the next one here? Man, after paying internal revenue for a business name in 2025, does that receipt covers only personal accounts that I use, or I still have to pay personal income tax on those other accounts? First of all, you don't pay internal revenue for a business name. What you pay is personal income tax for your person, right? uh, Internal, should I say, business name do not pay income tax, right? I've been singing it. I've been singing it right from the one. Business name does not pay income tax, so there's not even a question of what expenses can you now be claiming on that business name and all of that. Again, business name does not pay income tax. This is the individual. So the question most times is not how much income are you making as a business name. The question is how much are you paying yourself for the business name that you have, right? For the business that you're running, how much are you paying yourself? Then it's from there you now pay your personal income tax. I hope that helps. Okay. Um, like they said, we have to start charging VAT to customers by January. These VAT are to be remitted to internal revenue FRS. Okay, that will be remitted to FRS, and those VAT collected, will I give a receipt on the total money collected from the customers? Okay, so you'll file it online. It's more like an Excel sheet where you state all the sales that you made and you basically file it. Some people just do a total and file once, right? All of those receipts and all of those things will not be presented at the stage of filing. It is only presented when they are doing a review, right? So you might want to keep a tax folder. I think I should have added that in my class, right? Have a tax folder where you keep all of those things. But again, that is old school. This is 2025. You want to, that's why I actually recommended that lady's course. You want to get a software, right? Where you issue out all your invoices and your tax, your VAT record, right? Your VAT schedule, all of those things. You can see it as clear as day. So anybody just comes up, they come up today, you can say, okay, this is my software. You just tap it and you see all of your record, right? So that is what I would actually recommend for you. Okay, this is our construction organ. Let's see what we have here. A minute. A minute, please. Okay, I have two companies. One a business thing, the other one a limited. Haven't paid VAT in years, and also when I was in employment, I was given a tax card. Is that the card I should keep using to pay my PIT? Yes, that's the card you should use to pay your PIT. I think that's the only question in this place, right? I don't know the question you have for the business name or the limited liability, so I'm just going to move on. But if you're talking about your tax card, yes, that is what. So the tax card contains your tax ID at the moment with, I'm guessing, LRS because that's the people that give tax card. That means you're in Lagos State, right? So if you check your tax card, you see your tax payer ID there, right? In the future, if you decide to probably join you people with, or join us with JTB and the rest, they will always integrate it with people who already have a tax ID number, or those who don't have, they probably be using their NIM as their new GC, whatever they decide to do. But at the moment, that is your tax ID number, right? So yes, please, what's the difference between withholding tax, company income tax, and VAT? So withholding tax is a tax you charge for services people render to your business. So let's say you hire an auditor like myself, I send you an invoice. Whenever I send you that invoice, you charge me withholding tax, right, at certain percentage. So different transactions. Earlier on, I dropped what's it called? A slide of presentation of this thing I had a seminar, right? And inside there, you see all the withholding tax and their percentages, right? So that's not that. For company income tax is the tax you pay on your profits, right? That's after removing all your expenses from your revenue, whatever profit that is left, that is the tax you pay on it, and it's at 30%, right? While VAT, which is value added tax, that is your sales tax basically. So for everything you're selling, if it is vatable, so that some things are not vatable, right? If it is vatable, you're expected to charge your customers 7.5 on all of those items, right? Okay. If a if a company I offer service to withhold all that I charge for VAT, shouldn't they be responsible for paying VAT on that business deal? Then why is it withholding tax? So again, like I was explaining, right? When you render a service for a business, you are meant to charge them VAT. That VAT comes to you. Now, depending on the contract, right? Let's assume now that I am I'm rendering you a service, right? You are the company, I'm rendering you a service. If I send you an invoice, let's say my service is 1 million naira. When I send you the invoice, the service there will be stated 1 million naira. Then value added tax will be 75,000, which is 7.5%, right? Now, what happens is you as a company giving me the job, you will not charge me because I'm an individual, and for that kind of contract, it is 5%. You charge me 5%, not of the total invoice. Now the total invoice is 1,075,000. However, you charge me 5% on the service charge, which is the 1 million naira. So the withholding tax you're charging me is 50,000. So you can either send me a revised invoice stating that okay, I'm charging you withholding tax for your services, right? Then you pay me a balance of so if you minus 50,000 from the 1 million, that is 950,000. Add the VAT that I already charged you, which you cannot touch, right? You now be paying me 1,025,000, right? So basically, what they are charging is the service, not the total invoice. The service that I'm rendering to you on your own side triggers withholding tax, while on my own end, it triggers a value added tax. So I hope that is clear, right? So those two taxes are triggered for on just that transaction alone. So sometimes, right, there's a counterbalance, right? Especially if I was a limited liability company, right, that service now will trigger a 10% on my own end. Sorry, it will still be 7.5%, which is the value added tax I'm charging you. But on your own end, it will trigger a 10% withholding tax, right? That means at the end of the day, what you'll be paying me would be if it triggers 7.5% on my end, that is 1,750,000. But it should trigger a 10% withholding tax on your end. So that means on the service charge, you're only owing me 900,000 naira. Then you add my value added tax, that will be 975,000 naira. That is what you'll be paying to me. So I hope that's clear, right? Let's move on. Yeah, why was I? Okay. I hear that my laborers will also have to pay tax. How does this affect me? And how can I educate them? I feel this might make my laborers and market sellers drag the country back to cash economy because at this rate, all their accounts will be frozen. if we, the so-called educated, don't know about taxes, how do the laborers and the likes survive? So for people like this, most times this is why we have withholding tax, right? So if you have laborers, I'm guessing you are the contractor, right? And if you have what's it called now, a company account, right? When you're filing your financials, you will say, okay, for this contract, there's the labor or contractor fees. So at the end of the year, you probably have spent 20 million naira on contractors and all of those things, right? Uh, for lack of a better word, the truth is you might not be able to get these people to pay tax. But to protect yourself, you have to pay withholding tax. So whatever it is that your arrangement is with them, you want to have that consideration in mind that you owe withholding tax on the charges, right, or on the fees or the money you are paying to your laborers. That is 5% because okay, they are individuals, right? So you owe a withholding tax obligation. So whatever it is that you're paying them in total sum at the end of the year, I would recommend that you file withholding tax on their behalf. That is basically the cheapest form. Because if you go through the route of payee, which is pay as you earn, that one starts from 15%, which might be a bit high for you to bear. So what I would say is you consider them contractors for your business. So that way you're paying only 5%, right? So if that can work, consider them as this, and that can even help most people here. If you know that okay, your business is going to be incurring the cost of your labor, that's people working for you, in your financial record. Again, like I said, it's just the way you describe your finance in your financial, rather than paying the 20% off from your staff or paying this. You can classify your staff as contract workers, right? And you pay only withholding tax, which is way lesser than paying PE, right, on behalf of them. Especially that if you are the one bearing that body, you might want to consider that. So you're paying 5% instead of the 15 to 20, maybe 25% for pay. Okay, moving on. In 2026, what exactly is the new tax bill emphasizing on with taxpayers or those who have not started paying at all? I will not say the law is emphasizing on. I really don't get this question. Okay, so for people who have not, someone is speaking to me. For people who have not started paying, please mute yourself if you have to speak in the background. You're distracting me. Thank you. Okay, so I really don't get the first part of this question, what the tax bill is emphasizing, but what I can say is emphasizing compliance, is emphasizing on enforcement, right? And they put measures in place to ensure that people are more compliant and enforcement will be taken on. Then for people who have not started, I would recommend that you basically start and sort all of those things out before next year. And that is because, especially for businesses, they won't charge you 1 year back. They will charge you from when you commence the business. So if like I've been advising, there are ways where you can bring your commencement dates forward. You can take that route and just make sure you're on the good side of the law before, if you can probably clear up previous liabilities, do that before next year and just probably just negotiate it. So whatever needs to be done, just be on a good slate, right? Because come next year, they don't get plenty power and they're going to buga. So your best time right now is right now, right? Not to sound scary or anything, but your best bet is just to get prepared, right? Before 2026. If I start charging VAT to my customers next year, I remit the VAT to FRS or to internal state revenue? Okay, you remit to FIRS federal. Federal is in charge of VAT. What are the procedures for VAT registration, collection, and remittance of sole proprietors? Again, you go to FRS office and they register you on Tax Promas. It is on Tax Promas that you have to file all of that, right? So yes, they will give you a tax letter and all of that so that you're empowered to file your taxes. okay, to collect and file VAT taxes. If I register or revitalize my registration with FRS now, how will this affect my current tax payments at the state level? So there are basically different taxes and they are responsible for different taxes, right? The state is responsible for your personal tax, while the FRS is responsible for company income tax or value added tax, then withholding tax for companies as well, right? So there are basically two different taxes, and excuse me, they don't at the moment, there's really nothing. You pay whatever you need to pay for their own listing. So they have their own different sources of revenue. Okay. Um, I was told that to move, I was told that I need to move to limited liability holding company by CAT to be able to avoid taxes. Is this true? Please, can you explain taxes for VAT and LTD with the new tax law in place? So, if VAT is the tax that you are trying to avoid, right? Moving to LTD, limited liability company, does not help you avoid it. This is because whether you're a business name or a limited liability, you need to make over 50 million naira before you start charging VAT, right? So that threshold, whether you're a business name or a limited liability, that threshold stands, right? So if value added tax, which is VAT, is what you're afraid of, where you are is where you should be. Okay. Do you mind also explaining why small business need audited accounts to present by an auditor before filing annual returns at the end of the year? A business making below 25 million, do I need audited accounts or any accounts I prepare? Again, you are the one saying you're a small business. The taxman does not know that, right? So the audited account is your proof to show that you are actually a small business, because the auditor cannot be auditing everybody's accounts. It is the law has shifted that responsibility to you. So it's unfortunately it is a cost you have to bear as a business owner, right? So if you have to save towards it to then save towards it. If your business is small, thankfully, most of us in the corporate world will actually charge based on the value or your turnover and some other considerations, right? If you have under 25 million naira, you might probably get a consideration based on your revenue turnover, because you understand that your value is not enough. However, you need the compliance. But that said, right, sadly, it is a cost you have to bear, right? And that is the only way for you to prove that okay, you're actually a small business. Because if not, everybody will say they're a small business, and nobody would have to file anything or have to present anything. So it is the process you have to go through, right? To claim that yes, you're actually a small business. Well, but again, only limited liability companies file with audited financial reports. Business names do not need audited financial reports. But they can get it if they want to, but they don't need it. It's not mandated by law. Personal income taxes, as it applies to other states outside Lagos, what do I think? What is the process? Okay, so whether it's Lagos, whether it's Abuja, whether it's whatever, is a self-assessment, right? They, like I've been preaching, they will not audit your personal account. They'll call you for lack of a better word, they call you for questioning, right? They ask you certain questions. They try to ascertain what your income bracket is, right? That is why I advocate that it's better to get a consultant. You can send your consultant to do that on your behalf, and both of you agree what it is that you want to pay, right? But in practice, again, like I've been saying, they expect you. So whether it's Lagos, whether it's Delta State, whether it's the Kaduna or Kano, right? It is a self-assessment. So they expect you to declare. I own a real estate brokerage firm under a business name. I don't have any employees, so it's just me and my office. I want to be like you when I grow up. I work with independent agents, so we split commissions when required. Is it possible to earn up to 100 million naira in commission a year? Because I sell Dubai real estate. Okay, it is possible to earn up to 100 million naira in commissions a year. Excuse me. Although I haven't recorded that yet, but with my 2026 goals, it is possible. I don't see any question here, so I'm going to move forward. What would be the tax implications slash responsibility for my business? Again, if you have a business name, right, the only responsibility I see, especially since you don't serve the Nigerian audience, right, the only responsibility I see for you is your personal income tax. Okay, so like I've been saying, you do an assessment on that. No, don't change to the limited liability company. Just because the moment you change, like I've been preaching on this my group, you are exposing yourself more, right? Especially you're even over 100 million, so there's nothing you're trying to avoid, right? So stay where you are, unless you need limited liability for other things, then you can consider switching. But if for tax purposes, the answer
Yeah,
would always be no.
very
I
profit.
help I help people trade crypto. That's where I make my money. I get the money and take my cut and send the rest to the owner of the crypto. If I don't receive
Nigo,
the money yet, I don't get paid. How do I go about it so I don't get taxed for all the money I receive in my account? Okay, so what I would recommend for crypto people, I would recommend TradePal. I'm working with some group of crypto traders like yourself. Uh, to provide a very good bookkeeping platform because we understand the volume and the small differences that you have for your transactions. So that would be a good place for you to get the app and all of those things and record your transactions so you can actually prove that, oh, okay, oh, this is the money you are making. Then from that money, if you're a limited liability company, you can also add your expenses and if you are making profits, you pay your profits, your company income tax. If not, you probably will not be paying anything at the end of the day. So you want to sign up with TradePal to solve your problem. It's proving your transactions so that they know that, okay, these transactions are not actually revenue, but basically client's capital, right? Your client's trading capital, so to say. I have a company I opened in 2022. I've never filed taxes, but I use the account I opened with the company so they don't close it. If I want to start using it next year, do I have to file taxes in 2022 or just open another CAC company? So you already have mentioned one choice, opening another CAC company, right? If the name excuse me, if the name is not important to you, maybe you might leave that account to become dormant and start afresh. However, if the name is important to you, right, you can go to FRS office now before next year and register it, or should I say, register the company, get your commencement date, right, up to recent, right? So let's say 1st of October and start filing going forward. If you are not doing any business thing yet, you can be filing nil. You actually start doing operational things, right? So those are the options. I have a house I collect rent every year. Do I have to pay tax on the rent? Should I move it under the company I open to avoid tax,
kò
or
sí pé
should I request my tenants to pay me
mo
in
ní látẹ́kùn
cash?
mo máa fẹ́.
I don't know which tenants have cash to give to you, but here's what
Yeah.
I would say. I don't know what the.
Huh?
Hello, please. You can mute yourself. Okay, okay.
Hmm?
So this is. Hello, sir. Please, you can mute yourself. Okay, so this is what I would say. Uh, you can actually receive this money on your personal rent. Obviously, it's an investment return, right? And once you get your, should I say, your personal income tax, whatever it is that you're declaring, ideally you're supposed to list the rent income among it, right? But depending on what you're declaring as your personal income, after filing that, it covers for all forms of your income, right? So I think you can still get away with it, still using your what's it called, your personal account. Moving it under a company opens it up for more scrutiny. It simply means that it is the company that is earning the income. You now have to be doing all of the wahala to prove that revenue or probably claim it. So I would not recommend that you move it under a company, because the moment you do, the tax automatically, even the rent of your tenants have been, excuse me, even the rent of your tenants have increased, because you now have to charge VAT also alongside with your what's it called now, with your rent, right? That means that rent has increased by 7.5%, which will not favor your clients or your tenants. And as a tenant myself, I would not advise you to move into a company, right? Yeah, so basically, that is that. And the cash, I would not recommend you do cash, because you will just cash basically should not even be in the discussion. There's no reason why cash should be in this discussion. Okay, uh, that's for that. Hey, I don't go lost. So, right. Okay, okay. Hmm, excuse me. My business is about food processing, health and wellness, and importation of various items. Question one. I own a business name and my sisters as well, but we want a unique name that will serve as. Okay, I think I've spoken to you personally about this. So I'm thinking of registering a limited liability company while we have subsidiaries, like the parent's name can be Gladly Limited, subsidiary name Gladly Foodie, Gladly Import, and Gladly Warehouse. Okay, I think we've already spoken about this, and I made you understand that under the eyes of the law, right, there is no subsidiaries. Whatever subsidiaries you have to pay taxes for each of them separately, right? So that's basically the only thing that you can do. Right, so you might just want to have one name and use all of these Gladys, this thing that you have social media handles or your branding, whatever, and maybe trademark it and use it for whatever you need to do. Then you just have your company name. Maybe you can open different banks for each other's business and manage it as you see fit, right? But having different, what's it called, company name and in form of subsidiaries is just I don't think it's just so much exposure, right? Because you have to actually do compliance for each and every one of them. Okay. I also want to know about the new tax law details to measure the tax taken to reduce taxes and how to get back in general as a civil servant and an entrepreneur. How will I be charged and how do I know amount taxable? We've already discussed this that you can get an extra, an additional assessment based on your other source of income. Assuming I own a limited company and a business company and all my transactions in a year, for example, have an inflow of 150 million and outflow of 100 million. Okay, we've already discussed this. Revenue is not a function of inflow and outflow, right? However, if that is assumed to be your expenses and your revenue, you pay company income tax on the profit, which is the 50 million naira, right? So that's basically how it is done. And the last question I have here, my business is registered as a business name making under 25 million yearly. Where do I pay PIT to? We've been in business since 2020, since 2019 in Lagos. Also, the amount I pay myself monthly is not fixed. If fluctuate, does that affect my PIT filing? I also have staff. I've never paid payee. Do I need to while registered as a business name? Okay, so first questions first. Where do you pay your PI to? You pay to state government. As since you're in Lagos, you pay to LIRS, right? What you pay yourself is not steady, is not fixed, and that is exactly how most business owners do. That is why the law says you should not pay your own monthly. You should pay your own yearly, right? So at the end of the year, you're going to ask yourself, how much will you pay yourself in total? and file your taxes. Okay, so that said, uh, so basically what you're going to do, since you basically have a fair amount of how much you pay yourself from the business, that is what you are going to file based off of, right? Get your assessment done and you're good to go. I also have a staff and I have never paid payee. Do I need do do I need to register them as a business name? So yes, you have to because they are if by next year you decide as a business that you want to uh, you not decide if to stay compliant, right? You should file on their behalf. However, because you're a business name, what I recommend, and especially if I don't know what the income, how much you're paying them, if it's not a lot, I understand that you might not really want to be charging them so much. And for human sake, you might want to bear the cost as a company. So what I would say is you probably want to reduce how much you probably declaring of your payment, especially because you will not be presenting any audited financials for anybody, but so that you have a tax footprint, right? You want to try to declare something and pay on their behalf, okay? So that they also can have a tax footprint as well, right? Ah, people don't add this in Nana. Now, wow. I don't move close. I have a business name. I have a business name account since 2021. And I use it for this small business, which I make less than 1 million in profit yearly. Although transactions in my name is above that. Since I have filed in taxes all these years, what should I do? Okay, so again, tax is not a function for business. The taxes that you owe are not a function of your profits. What you owe in taxes are basically a function of the transactions. And again, you're a small business. There is nothing to care about for you. I would recommend that you just go register, get your commencement date to October and start filing new, right? So your own case now, what you need to be worried about is your compliance, really. What you need to worry about is your compliance. So that is what I would recommend for you, right? Uh, so yes, I didn't file tax in 2022. I opened the account on limited. For this year, a friend moved money to the limited account to pay for a house of 65 million and I moved it out the next day. Would I be taxed on it? And should I close the limited account? I will not say you'll be charged on it because obviously it's a transaction that you probably used to buy an asset and it can be easily traced, especially with the house paper and all of those things, right? Uh, Although ignorance is not an excuse, your company account should not be what you should be using for these sort of transactions, right? So avoid storing that approach and start proving all of those nonsense. You can close that account and maybe use another one that you have, right? But if that's not the case, right, that is basically your best defense. So yeah, the taxman would want to say, okay, what are you using? What do you use for? They probably want to tax it and assume it's a account, right? So whatever is going to that company or into that company, they basically want to assume that it's revenue, all this thing, right? You're not supposed to be receiving from the other revenue or is loan, and is none of the right, except asking to the family that is your own right, more like direct contribution and trying to get that. So it's just a long story, talk through. So if it's something you can close that out and maybe open another one somewhere, then yes, you can close that out. But basically, do you that traction is right because mention it, give insight on trade on people Okay, so what I said back into is because of your large volumes and your small margins, right? For you to be able to prove anything, all you need, number one thing that you need is an audit trail of all your transactions. So you want to be to if the tax man come because they really don't understand the crypto business and all of that. You want to be able to show them like okay, the trading you're taking, what your profit margin is. So most of them, some you actually even made losses, right? So at the end of the day, your profit and your losses, right? You net them off, and whatever the balance is, then maybe you now add your operational cost and declare all your profit before you file, right? So that's why I always recommend limited liability for crypto people so that you have a proper financial statement. And I also said there's a platform, right, that I know that helps not that where you can so basically they have like a WhatsApp bot. So as you are typing and doing so you basically it's not like you can keep your records with on WhatsApp, right? So after, like for example, after doing a trade, you can just type on it, say, okay, you did so trade on platform today. You send money from account, right? When you basically start using it, right, you understand the idea towards it. If it's something you're interested in, you can DM me and I'll share you more details. I really don't want to bore every other person with the crypto bookkeeping details and all of that. But there's really no other solution out there like this one, and I would strongly recommend it for you as a crypto person, right? So that's it. Okay. My landlord refused to issue me rent receipt and agreement in my company name. How can I claim tax deduction? Okay, yeah, you can claim if they refuse to issue you rent receipt. Hope you have your bank statement, right? uh, and your location is there, you do not see the house. So sometimes with issues like this, you go follow the person drag, right? It's even good for you sef. You can inflate, okay, you cannot inflate it share because your bank, so like I said, your bank statement is also a source document. Why it is good to have double factor authentication, right? Especially with the receipt. But in the case where receipt is missing or there's no receipt, you can use your bank statement, right? Bank statement is also honored. That's why description is very important. So you can use your bank statement and say, okay, this is the rent transaction, and yeah, nobody's going to really refute that because obviously you have to rent your place to do your business, right? So that's for that. You need to even understand that even some people who don't have what's it called landlords, they are using their own property. They also claim rent, right? They charge rent to their company to reduce the distance. So basically that's it. But you should understand that this is your rent. You are supposed to even be charging the landlord or whatever it is withholding tax, right? So you are exposed to withholding tax for rent. Just have that at the back of your mind. Okay. Then clothing brand. I asked the question about pay for my staff. I doubt they already have team. They are tailors. Am I to get team on their behalf of my staff for me to remit to their pay for their pay? So yes, you can register their team for them if they can't do it themselves, right? So what you can do is you can get their details. So oh Jesus, please, oh, who's that? Oh, okay. So what you can do is get their so the information they basically need are what you probably call a KYC. So you need their full names, you need their BVN or their name, you need their phone number, you need their email address, you need their date of birth. The date of birth should correspond with their BVN, right? So it should be the same date of birth that is on their BVN. If not, you will not be able to basically generate a taxpayer ID for them. So those are the basic information that you need, right? If you go to just type LRS, right? Tax, I think tax something. When you type LRS, you see this thing, you see all of the information to create a new payer ID there, right? And you do that for them and get their payer ID, and that's how you can do for your staff, or you basically just get somebody to do the setup for you, then you continue on a monthly basis, right? And that is one option I would recommend. Yeah, if you want help with that, you can DM me for that, and let's see how we can get you started. So going forward, you just be doing the monthly filing. Okay. I have the following questions that needs further clarification. I'm a retiree and recently joined my wife in managing her small school. I think I've answered this before, but you were not around, I guess. The school is not a limited liability company and it's just registered in a school name. She has been paying PIT every year to the LRS with okay? With the new tax regime, is there any change in her tax liabilities apart from the PIT? Is she obligated to pay other tax to FRS? No, she's not obligated to pay to FRS because educational this thing, right? They are not vatable. Education and educational materials are not vatable under the new tax law, right? Even the old one, I don't think they are vatable. So she's good, and because it is not a company, she's not paying any income tax. It's a business name. So her personal income tax is good and way to go. Okay, since school is not a limited liability, there is no team member. As school or educational institution subject to tax, e.g. CIT of value added tax. So CIT, if it's a school that is built for profit, but again, you are not a company. You've already said that you registered it as a business name. So it means that you are not liable to CIT and you're not liable to VAT. Okay. As an individual, if I make private investments in a bank or a finance house, usually they deduct withholding tax on interest in such as investment. Am I liable to another tax for the interest I earn from such investment? So basically, it is an advanced tax, right? And like I said, if I were you, I probably would not even be, what's it called? Be declaring all of those taxes in my income, right? Because when you're doing your personal income tax, it's you that is declaring it. But if assumption you declare, withholding tax that is deducted is more like an advanced tax. So whatever it is that you are subject to pay to the tax man, right? Withholding tax just helps to reduce that liability. So they deduct whatever withholding tax that they charged you before, right? From whatever tax that you are liable to. So that's how basically it works in practice. Okay. So yes, if it becomes your income, then it probably becomes taxable again at the end of the day, right? Okay. Uh, well, Maria. If I have made investments in financial institutions or invested in landed property, will I be liable for personal income tax on interest for investments that have not been liquidated or disposed? To what extent will somebody be liable to sales of instrument or instrument like shares, etc., or such financial instrument? So anything that's not liquidated yet, right? Tax is basically on realized income. If you've not liquidated it, it's more like a perceived income. Nobody's going to tax a perceived income, right? It's when you liquidated it and it has landed in your account. That's when they will tax it, right? And also dividends or whatever it is that you are earning from companies and all of those things. First of all, like you said, they will remove their withholding tax, and whatever it is that you declare as your income, right? You can now, if all of those things were you also declare as your income, you can deduct that withholding tax that you initially declared, and basically pay the difference from whatever it is that you were owing. So those dividends that they've deducted initially act as more like an advanced tax for you. If funds are received into my account, will I be liable for such funds? So for personal account, no. For business account, you might have to explain, right? But like I've been saying, personal account, nobody really does that thorough audits for personal account. So that's why they said if you are doing business, use a business account so that they can audit you and check you properly. What are the biggest legal way to process one asset from the taxman? Okay, that we've been discussing different ways, right? I really can't list those things right now. And so it's basically not a direct question. There are different ways, but one of the best ways, like we discussed today in earlier classes, keep better records and classify your transactions properly so that it's easy for you to detect what it is for. And when you're doing this classification, make sure that, especially for a business and companies, make sure that those classifications fall under deductible expenses, right? Okay. What are the tax implications for making investment in personal name as a guest company? The only tax implication is that you pay personal income tax, right? Either way, for both company and individual, there's already withholding tax. However, for company, right, when the money comes, it's not subject again to another 30% income tax, right? So if you are making an investment, I would basically prefer that you make that investment as an individual, where your exposure is less compared to a company. Hmm. So you said, okay, I think you already made an example for so if for financial instrument and physical asset like this, you need to understand that when talking about investment, right? I honestly believe that tax should not be the first thing you're thinking about, right? So you might actually want to talk to investment experts so that you know what is the best way to protect. Everything should not really be centered around tax. What is the best way for you to protect your assets? But if you're talking about for tax purposes, obviously it will always be the individual. But this is an investment, right? So you probably want to talk to people who do this sort of investments, who are more knowledgeable to advise you on what your best is in, right? Tax is just a means to an end. I will not, because I understand that this is a tax class and I am biased towards tax, but tax should not only be for a serious decision like this. Tax should not be your only consideration, right? Please talk to somebody who does these investments and who can advise you what is the best way to protect yourself, right? So that nothing affects your investments. So tax should not be your only consideration. Why sh- why would you advise an individual to register a limited liability company as against ordinary businessmen, bearing in mind the challenges of dealing with FAS and tax issues? I just said a very good example is it depends on what's it called? What is that you are looking for, right? There are so many benefits of a limited liability company besides tax. Taxes, although we are focused on tax on this class, but tax is not the only reason people do business. There are so many other things, right? There's the protection that comes with a limited liability company. When anything goes wrong, nobody touches your personal assets, right? But as a businessman, they can touch your personal assets, they can sue you. In fact, when they sue a business, it is you that they are suing, right? But for a limited liability, it is the company that they are suing, they are not suing you. So these are basically the differences, right? So you just need to understand all of that. I meant that I have a business name account that I open and be using since 2021. My profit is less than 1 million rand yearly, but I haven't filed any taxes there. What should I do so that I'll be worried about next year? Uh, what what makes you taxable? You have a business name, right? So you've not even seen mention the type of business. So if it is a vertible business, right, which might be the only reason why you probably have tax liabilities. And so it's not a function of how much profit you're making, it's a function of the revenue. So if your revenue is over 25 million naira, it means that you should have been filing VAT. However, if you've not been filing VAT, what I said was you can go to the tax office and declare commencement date before next year. Go to the tax office and declare commencement dates, right? A recent commencement date and start filing going forward, right? So you can even be filing 00 if you're not really making money and all of that. So depending again on your revenue, right? If you are making over 25 million naira, or let's say you'll be making over 50 million naira from next year in revenue, not profit, so revenue, that's turnover, uh turnover, then you should be filing your value added tax because that is the tax that you are basically owing as a businessman with FIRS. So that is basically what you should be worried about. Again, it boils down to your turnover. The thing for my business name is the same thing I use in remitting PIT, or do I need to get another separate one for myself? So at the moment, everybody has their own team. State government has their team. The team on your business name is what FRS uses, right? So FRS has their own team and the rest. So that one is for your things like your VAT, right? So yes, for your PIT, you need to get another separate one that will be issued to you by the state government. But like they are trying to achieve from next year, they want a situation where there's only one thing for every individual, excuse me, and one thing for corporate bodies. So that's what they're trying to achieve. I have an LLC in Lagos and it was incorporated in 2023. Now, most of our clients are foreign clients. So we mostly take them to our foreign bank account. We usually open a business account, but we don't even have a team for that account. So we haven't used the account yet. My question is, will we be taxed on the money coming in from foreigners? Also, will we pay company income tax? Because I heard that for the for the first 5 days we don't pay tax. So we hire workers on commission basis. Do we pay WHT? Okay, well, let me take a question again. You have an LLC in Lagos, incorporated in 2003. Now, most of your clients are foreign, so mostly take them to our foreign bank account. Now, whether they are foreign or not, the question is the service being done in Nigeria, or is it a service that is enjoyed in Nigeria? So let's say you sell clothes, for example, right? And you are exporting these clothes to a foreign this thing. Your clients are in the abroad, right? As they're in the abroad and they are paying in dollars, whatever. Those the people abroad, you basically can't charge them VAT, right? But if people in Nigeria that are buying the same clothes, you can charge them VAT. Virtue because okay, they're in Nigeria. It's assumed that the person abroad does not care about your tax laws because obviously they are not Nigerians and there's no value you're giving to them based on the Nigerian context, right? So the idea is Nigerian businesses sorry, people or businesses outside the church of Nigeria are not vatable, right? So if again, the picture I'm just trying to paint is where are the clients residing, right? Is the service you're rendering, regardless of whether they're paying you in dollars or naira, is it enjoyed in Nigeria? So that's basically the idea I'm trying to paint. We recently opened a business account, but we don't have a team for that business. So we haven't used the account yet. So I don't know what you have been using since if you haven't used the account yet. My question is, will we be taxed on the money coming in from foreigners? So where is the money coming into? Is it coming to your personal account? If it coming to your personal account, that's not your business account now. So uh, I don't know. But I hope my previous explanation explains it, right? Also, will we pay company income tax? I heard that first 5 years you don't need to pay. Okay, so no, that's not the case. What it says is, or I think that was even the previous, what's it called now? The previous law. If you're not making profits, right, then you are not supposed to pay. So before now, there was what we call minimum tax, right? It simply says for the first 4 years, if you don't make profits, you are not meant to pay minimum tax. But after that period, you pay a minimum tax of at least 0.5% of your revenue, right? Uh-huh. So that was basically the previous law. But the new law now says that Whether it's 5 years old or 10 years old, as long as you're not paying profit, you should not pay minimum tax. But however, if you are a big business, that's a very big business, doing over 20 billion in turnover, then you must pay at least 15% of your turnover in taxes. So that is now the new law. But that one is for people who are making over 20 billion naira, right? Okay. I see why they call it billion. It's like billion will enter my account very soon. In Jesus' name. Amen. So we hire workers on commission basis. Do we pay withholding tax? Yes, of course. Contract workers, you deduct withholding tax and pay to the government. Okay, so I think we're done for Q&A. Uh, so we can take a few
Sorry, I have a
questions.
quick question.
Yeah, we
I
have
have a
about
quick
30
question
minutes.
just about what
Also
you
have a
just
question. Oh.
mentioned now concerning
Sorry?
withholding tax. I have a quick
Okay.
question about what you just mentioned about withholding tax. But for business name, does it still apply for contract workers, people that are getting
Yes,
being paid?
obviously. Yes, so if you have contract workers, you're supposed to withhold tax. Again, remember the 50 million threshold. So as a business, you should be doing over 50 million before you decide, before you start charging people withholding tax.
Okay, all right, thank you. So wait,
Welcome.
if they're doing over 50 million, are you going to do withholding tax and also pay?
A payee is for staff now. Payee is not depending on how much you're making. Do you have staff? Do you pay them salaries?
So they are
That
being
is
paid
payee.
on a commission basis.
So if you are paid commission business, they are not liable to pay. They are liable to withholding tax. So it's not a question of are you making over 50 million naira? Should you be charging withholding tax?
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening now.
Yeah. I run an agricultural company, limited.
Oh,
So
okay,
I employ workers, but they work for a year and they are paid at the end of the year. So
okay.
my question is, am I
Ah,
supposed to
sorry,
be
how
paying
the thing
to?
survive?
You said?
How your worker still survive? I need to know.
I'm the one that feed them. They are farm workers.
Okay,
So I
you're
feed
not
them.
getting
I care
okay.
for them.
That's
Eh?
the person that's it's just funny now that they have to wait till the end of the year to collect money.
No,
Ah,
that is the deal for farm workers. They get their
really?
either their pay, yes, either they collect cash or they collect maybe it depends on the agreement motorcycle at the end of the year, whatever agreement we have with them. But we feed
Oh,
them, we clothe them, we treat them if they are sick, and we house them.
oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So
Because
such workers, am I supposed to charge with to pay on them, or we just pay them at the end of the year?
so at the end of the day, contract workers are cheaper because you need to understand that first of all, what is the liability on you as the company, right?
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
when you are considering that you are the one bearing the cost. If you are passing the cost to them, then obviously you go the pay route, right? You deduct it from their pay and pay it on their behalf. But this one, from what you just described, is a contract. So
Yes.
withholding tax is the only way that you should even go. So it's not an option of whether it should be. So it's a contract because you're paying them at the end of the year. Right? Do this thing for me. At this end of this thing, we'll pay you. They can decide to even stop working for you after that. This thing. So there's no bounding
Okay.
this thing. So
So
paying
what
them
you're
cannot
saying
even
now
work
is
in a situation because withholding tax is the only option for you.
okay. So at the end of the year, that's when I'll pay the withholding tax too.
Yes, yes, yes. It's when
Probably when
you
I'm filing for company income tax.
exactly you add your
Okay.
pay as well.
Another
I mean
question,
your
please.
withholding tax.
Another question, please. I want to purchase a bus for our farm to be carrying our farm produce to the farm and buying other farm inputs too. So
Mm.
I want to confirm, will that now be charged at once? Or like you said, maybe director bought a car, they will need to spread it for 5 years. Will it be charged at once as part of my
Uh,
expenses for that year?
expenses. No,
Since
no,
it's
no. That's
for
an
the
asset.
farm bus.
Yeah, that's an asset. So you spread it.
Okay, we'll spread it.
Yes.
Okay. Then one more thing, the last question. The last company income tax I filed January to December. But our harvest this year now will span into January. So can I file from January to January?
No.
Can I use
12
that
months.
statement?
You
I didn't
cannot
hear you,
file
sir.
from January to January. You
It has
cannot
to
file
be
from
to
January to
December.
January. Yeah.
But if I file by December, my balance in the account will be more, and we have not yet purchased the chemicals we will use to farm for the next year. That's how we do. We buy the chemicals we farm for the next year
And so
at the end of the year.
so it depends. That's now the discussion with your audit account, right?
Okay,
Every
okay,
so you can always make provision for those transactions, right? And
okay.
if possible, you can even pay your suppliers ahead of time. There's no crime with that, so that you can incur those expenses. I don't know if you understand.
What I'm saying so is inflow will still enter January that we will now calculate the total to be able to buy our inputs. So if I do January to December, I can't account for that January inflow for this past year.
So I'm not sure I get you.
I said what I'm saying, if I do January to December, that they used to do
Mm,
my assessment for 2025, inflow
yeah.
will still enter for our harvest in 2025 by January till January ending. And that
Okay.
inflow
Okay.
is part of what I want to use to buy input for the next year.
Okay, so especially because your kind of business, right? So you might just want to stick. So if your kind of business that you can predict how much inflow will come in January, right? You
Yes, yes,
can
yes.
use accounts receivable and also claim
Okay.
revenue. But I doubt if you can use accounts receivable because I don't know since it's harvest or might be good or might be bad. But if it's something you think you can estimate, right? That's a
Mm,
discussion between you and your auditor to
okay,
see
okay,
how
no
best to
problem.
present your case
Okay,
to limit your distance, right? I might not be able
okay,
to
no
get the
problem.
whole picture because I really don't understand. But again, your options might be using accounts receivable. So the entries will be revenue, credit entry, then accounts receivable, debit entry. So it's more like an asset that you have, which represents
Fine.
the harvest that you've not sold yet, right?
Yes,
Then
yes.
then you also have your credit entry, which is the revenue. So
Okay, no problem.
that will be one of the options. Yes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. That's all for now.
Okay, sir.
Please,
All right.
I
Good
just
evening.
have some questions on the
Good
list. Do you
evening. Okay, so
address the
let's just
question?
do it like this. After that, then King Dion can speak.
Yeah, so I already dropped my question on the list. It was late, but I don't know if you could just check, please.
Oh, okay. Close that list. No problem.
Thank you.
Can you guys just say it now? Let's just discuss. Why is it
Okay,
long?
it's not long. Okay, no problem. So I have
Let's just discuss.
Okay, so I have two questions. The first one is, I registered a new business, right? When I registered the business, it came with the new this thing comes with your tin written below the CAC
Yeah.
certificate. So I tried opening the bank account. And while opening it, the account officer told me that the tin there will not work. I was trying to understand why, but he was just saying the tin there will not work. So he told me to pay some money. I think it was 15,000 naira to get a tin and get it registered. So I said, okay, no problem. I paid. And then he sent me a screenshot that showed me a new TIN and my MSTO. I also checked on Tax Pro Max. It was already registered on Tax Pro Max. However, I tried to use that same TIN to open another bank account with the name. Another the account officer in New Bank was telling me that that TIN is not valid. So he showed me a validation page for FIRS and imputed the TIN and it was not working. It was saying basically that's not a team. So right now I'm confused because I have two teams. I have one that was registered by the first account officer on Tax Pro Max and one that's on my CAC. And apparently the one that was registered by the first account officer, I can't use it to open another bank account. So I'm in a tight spot right now and I don't know what to do.
The only thing you can do is to go to FRS, right?
Yeah,
Ideally, the thing on your certificate
yeah.
should be the one. So ideally, when you open it, you should have gone there to activate it because they're in
Okay.
charge of activation. But sometimes
Okay.
I've actually had this case where even if you don't activate it on time, they probably will give it to somebody else. It's just like the way MTN is selling out people's numbers these days, right?
Okay.
No, you need to understand that these numbers are generated automatically by computer, right? So
Okay.
the number is free, nobody's using it. They will probably give it to somebody else. And I've had one or two cases like that in my career, right? Where
Okay.
they have to probably one person is sharing different thing. So the only person that can resolve it is not your bank officer, it's the FRS office, right? So you want to just go there and resolve it once and for all.
Okay. Then my second question is, I had a business I was running at some point so many years ago. I was remitting VAT. I wasn't even making up to the 25 million that they were saying at that time. I was just remitting because I wanted to use the evidence to apply for visa, which I didn't even end up using. Anyways, I stopped doing the business, stopped using the accounts, and stopped paying VAT. Now, I didn't know that when you stop doing all of that, you're supposed to write to them to tell them that this business is no longer active. So I
Okay.
stopped. And later on, I got a mail, like even the mail for the account for the business name, I stopped checking it. Recently, I decided to just check to see what was going on, and I realized that they actually sent a mail requesting for the account statement of that business. I know that
Business name.
if I submit it, it's going to land me into trouble, right? So at this point, I don't know what to do because I'm no
Why do
longer.
you trouble her? You said
I
you're
don't.
no longer doing that business. Are you still using that now?
And I'm not using it anymore. I'm not using it anymore.
No,
But
which
I mean,
trouble?
like, okay, when I was paying, I don't know, like I wasn't doing it the right way. I just watched a YouTube video and I was just remitting random amounts of money. It's not like I was collecting money from anybody. So
Okay.
obviously there's no way they will say, oh, you're not owing us some money. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So yeah.
And so the business is dead now. You're no longer doing that business. You're not going to use the account. You can just reply them. If I don't know how long that message has been, right? But
Several months.
just like they say, a dead man owes no debt. The business is dead. There's no debt you're owing. I don't know if
Okay.
you get my point.
Yeah.
The business is dead. The business is dead.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
why you're
That's
supposed to
all.
have noticed them that you've seized business, but in
Yeah.
reality, business is dead. Business is dead. There's nothing they can basically do,
Okay.
right?
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Good
Okay,
evening.
Mena, I have a question.
Well, please let King Dion speak first, then Shoes you can speak.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much. Good evening.
Yes,
Okay, so I
I,
have
I, I
No, King
sorry,
Dion
please.
first, please. I think it's the next in line.
yeah, King Dion speaking
After
now.
King Dion, you can go.
Am
All
I
right, thank
speaking
you.
on him?
King Dion, I'm the one speaking now. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so yeah, I just rented a place, a commercial apartment for a fashion brand, a new business I'm just starting with a partner. So for the purpose of tax, I told the landlord to issue the receipt and agreement in the company name, but he has refused that he cannot do that. Obviously, he's a barrister, so I think he knows the stress involved in having when you are having issues with a company for rent and all of that. So he completely said that he's not going to do that. So now, where does that leave me? Will I still be able to deduct the rent from tax?
So what you can do is pay the tax from your company account. I mean, pay the rent from your company account.
Okay, no, I think we had already. Okay, we can pay from the company account, right?
Yes, if you want to just it. So you can pay from company account. So you can now, when you're doing your bookkeeping, you say your rent, this rent, where is the evidence? See it. You pay from your company account to see off the
Okay,
person.
I think what we already did because the company account is actually in process and we had made half payments, so from my personal account. So I don't know what we can do about that because subsequently
Maybe
we can.
you punch the invoice now. It's not like you're going to ask him to confirm.
Okay,
That's not you. That's that. You know, nobody go. They will not ask your landlord to confirm. So you can, you can obviously you pay rent that you want to claim it. So if what's coming to works, you go and get invoices in and write invoice for yourself.
okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mena, can I speak now?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay, okay. I do some transactions, and I am charged withholding tax, which is about 7.5%. And it could be huge, right?
Yeah.
Now, in filing my personal income tax, can I use the withholding tax receipt to offset some of my tax obligations in my PIT, which is to Lagos State Revenue now, whereas the withholding tax actually goes to FRS? Okay, when company I do investment with, give me withholding tax, do withholding tax deduction and give me a receipt for that withholding tax, which is from now FRS. Can I use such withholding tax receipt to offset my tax liability to legal LIRS when I do personal income tax assessment?
Sadly, no. Cannot use. You're not working that to pay for that. The money is not coming to the account, so you cannot use it to offset your personal business. So the only one you can use to offset is your FRS business. So if you have a company, you probably want to be giving them your company tax ID. I don't know if you understand. So since it's
Okay.
FRS that they're missing, so you cannot use it for LRS.
Okay.
There
All
are
right.
two
Thank you.
different bodies. Yes.
All right. Thank you. So what's
Good
the
evening.
essence of all this joint tax board? And I thought they are synchronizing together to
They're
scheme
not
for
synchronized,
Nigerians.
but even if they synchronize, right? Even if they synchronize, there is the revenue. So if you read it, they are specific for what's it called? For limited liability, what they will use to track you, right, is your RC number.
Okay.
You get you have a registration number. Then for individuals, is your tax ID or your
Yeah.
NIM. For those that have tax ID, your tax ID. For those that don't have, your NIM will now become your tax ID. You understand? So the idea, the thing for the joint tax board basically is just to synchronize the tax identification across all states and this. So everybody, not like when you come to Lagos, you want to do something in Lagos, you cannot present Delta State tax ID, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's always this conflict of this because there's no proper place to check if you're actually paying this, no systems, because everybody everybody has their own different autonomy. So I think the idea behind the joint transport is just for better data sharing. I don't know if you understand. To know, okay, this person is actually paying or not. It's really nothing more than that. So at least wherever you are paying tax, you can access your tax benefits wherever you are. So if, for example, you're buying land in Lagos, you don't need to, if you're already paying in Delta State, you don't need to not pay in Lagos first before you can now buy land in Lagos. Because they can simply check your JTB and see that, okay, you're actually a tax-paying citizen in Nigeria. You get the idea.
So, yeah, I do.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Good evening, Mena. Can I speak
Hello,
Good
now?
good
evening.
evening. Hello.
I think there was someone that's supposed to speak first. What's it called? I don't forget. The
Victor.
Shooks. I think Shooks first.
Chooks has
Okay.
spoken.
Okay.
Okay, Shooks has spoken. Oh, okay.
I've not spoken. No.
Okay, you will speak next after. Who was asking me now? The lady voice. Is it Eunice
You,
or Eunice? Okay,
yes.
Eunice. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Please, I will speak
So,
after Chukwu. I have just two questions.
so I'm a salary earner, Mena, and
Okay.
my employer deducts PIT. But this same, I also use my personal account for several businesses, and it runs into millions. Do you suggest I move to business name? Would I be charged extra aside from my salary PIT?
No, so even on your, as you are doing millions of transactions, right, and you have a side also, you should be filing additional tax. You should be doing an additional assessment at least to cover the extra income you're in,
So
right?
I should
So,
maintain personal account.
so the issue of you maintaining the account now it depends on, okay, how much is really coming to the account. Would you say on a monthly basis, right? Is it more than 25 million?
No.
Okay. So if it's not more than 25 million, nobody's really going to, first of all, they're not going to flag you, right? As it's already in the, what's it called now? In the tax paying system with your payee, right? What I would just recommend is just get an additional assessment, no matter how little, right? To just
Yeah.
cover for your extra source of income.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Oh, can I speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay, please.
Yes, I can hear
My
you.
question. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, like I work in a fast-moving consumer goods, and I have my team under me. And the question is, most of the transactions go through our accounts, and it runs into several of millions. And I'm so sure, and I'm so aware that it will be
Yeah.
maybe neighborhood of 100.
Okay.
So, like, we are entering this 2026 now, because we need to strategize and not to be caught in this web. Should we we pay our personal income tax? The company handles that. It is being deducted from our salary. Is it still advisable to allow the money to come through our account or through the company account? So how should we go about that? And
Which money are you talking about?
is the money from the customer?
Okay, coming through your account. Then you
Yes,
send it to the company.
yes, and we now send to the company.
Oh, okay. So I would not recommend that you receive it in your account, right? But if there is really no other way, then you probably want to be keeping better records in case you are called for questioning, really, right?
Okay.
Like you said, if the money is in the hundreds of this thing, ideally, if they flag you, you can just say, okay, you are receiving this money on behalf of your company, and you are sending it because of
Yes, we are salesmen. We are receiving it on behalf of the company. It's not as if we are doing
But the
any
best way,
business
the
with it.
best way forward would actually be for the company. Maybe they should have like somebody who confirms payments when you are there to collect the money, and they say, okay, I've seen payments, so and you move on. I really don't. I would not even recommend for your own security. Maybe something not going to happen to you because you don't see company money. I would not recommend you to be receiving company's money, right? Especially if it's not like it's dispatch work where it's 2,000 and 4,000 and 5,000. Like you said, it's millions of naira. I would not recommend you are
And
receiving.
each company is very unique in its own way. Because if some of these customers, if they pay directly to the company, we might not even know that they paid. But if it passes through us, you
The
understand?
agents, you're not responsible for the items that you took.
Exactly. We'll be able to track that this so has paid, then we now remit it back to them. But if
Mhm.
we be a charge for additional for with this tax and all that, I just want to know how can we navigate that?
So the truth is, even from what you've said now, I think with banks like Money Points and all those, they have solutions where one bank can have different sub accounts, right? Where they can now give access to whoever it is that is managing the account to view alerts, to view receipts. Honestly, that this is 2025. There are so many solutions you can use to advert what it is that you're actually trying to avoid, which is to confirm the payments for the goods that you're responsible for, right?
Yes,
So the company can actually open an account with sub accounts for each agent. It's possible with Money Points. It's even possible with most traditional banks these days. You can have different sub accounts as much as you want, right? This is 2025. I don't think that's even a problem. On a personal note, even beside tax, I just think it's too much risk receiving companies' funds into your personal account, right? But however, it's sounding like a straightforward transaction that can easily be explained, right? The taxman is just trying to find out if you're avoiding tax or not. And in your case, you're not avoiding tax. The money is remitted, so it's not a crime for you to receive the money to your
it's
account.
not a crime. It's
It's,
something that has been going on for maybe 10, 15 years. It's a
yeah,
legit,
is a legit, so that's in my own eye, that's really not the issue. I'm just speaking based on the risk involved in doing this. If it's something, I think people should basically just consider opening one of all of these new generation banks and get sub accounts for your agents. That's just a recommendation.
okay, these money points like account, right?
Where you can have different sub accounts. I even think GTBs also have something like that too. I think what's the name of that? Their new product that they have, Squads, right? Where you can have multiple sub accounts, and
Okay.
so it depends on the assets they give the person. The person can view transactions, confirm payments, and all of those things, and they can make reports on that. So everybody have their own account, but everything is still under the company's account, right? I think
Oh,
those are the options you probably want to consider.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other person? We have 10 more minutes before we close.
Hello. I forgot something, please.
Okay, sir.
I'm still trying to get around this personal income tax, as in tax for individuals.
Okay.
Sorry, not tax. TIN number for individuals that they said we have to register with our bank account against 2026.
To talk with your bank account. So,
Eh?
see, 14 number, I honestly believe 14. Let's just wait to 2026. Right? If
Okay,
you do it
because
now, you might have to do it again in 2026. I don't know
okay,
what their plan is, right? Team number should not really be the issue. When they are ready, they will let us know what they want to do with the team number. But what the law specifically said is for when you do company registration and all that, CSC already gives you a team number that FRS confirms. So that is not even the issue. The only issue
I have
with
for
team number
yes,
like, is it's just with the individuals. And some people
yes,
already have team number, especially people paying tax in Lagos, right? They already have a team number. So
yes,
for those that don't have, they're just saying what is the general identification that people have that they can use. And the best one is NIM, right? They believe that every
yes.
adult that has an NIM. So they're saying, okay, they want to now convert your NIM as your tax ID. You get. So
Okay,
it's as straightforward as that. So for business, when you enter business, CS already gives you a thing that you confirm with FRS, which is quite
yes.
straightforward. Like for like 5 years now, you can't even do anything without a team. When you so that has been an old law. The only new thing
Mm,
coming to the team now is just the individual aspect of it. So like I
o-
said, next year, whatever they
okay,
want us to do it, we shall do it their way. Right.
okay,
So
okay. So,
that's great.
so my personal thing for my state is I shouldn't bother adding that one to the bank yet, to my savings account yet.
You shouldn't bother doing one.
As in the TIN number I got from Internal Revenue Ogun State,
Uh,
I don't need
uh,
to add that to my bank account.
Nobody's adding at the moment, and they've not updated on whether
Okay,
we're going to add it to this thing now. So
okay, okay. So let's
when
just
they are
wait.
ready, we'll wait. When
Okay,
they are
okay.
ready, tell us what they want us to do with it.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Well, good evening. Good evening. Who can I
yeah.
speak?
Okay,
Okay,
who's speaking?
my name
Isaac.
is
I mean,
Isaac.
Isaac.
Yes,
Isaac.
Isaac.
Let us give my
Hi.
declaration name. I like it.
Good evening. Thank you for the class.
Okay,
It's been very enlightening.
man.
Okay, so
People should start
I run an event.
tagging me your stories so that I will make more money.
Sorry.
I think people should be tagging me as we are enjoying my class so that more people will come and sign up and I'll make more money. Let's
Okay,
continue.
no problem. I will. Okay, so we run an event planning company, and we have paid tax. We paid tax in 2018, 2019, and 2020, but we still paying
Okay.
tax. My question is this. Number one question is, are we a vatable company? Are we supposed to be paying that? That's one question.
Events. Okay.
Then
Yes,
number
yes.
two,
Events, I suppose. So now the next
okay,
question will be what is your turnover?
it's not up to 25 million. We're running it as a business name currently, as an enterprise.
Yeah. But what's the turnover as the enterprise? It's not 25
Let's
million.
say, no, it's not up to 25 million.
So you are not valuable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not
Because of your
vatable.
threshold, yeah, you're not valuable.
Okay. So when you say, but that's the money we are making it personally, right? Not the money that passes our
Not
account.
profit, so
Okay.
not
Yeah.
more like your service charge.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You get
It's,
not your client's money, your service charge.
oh yes, it's not up to 25 million.
Okay, then you're not valuable.
So I'm vatable. Okay. So also another question I have is this: because of the backlog of tax that we have not paid over the years, what do you advise that we do? Should we just go to LLC since we have this backlog
So since you've already
of tax?
registered, right? Like I said, at the moment you can file them off. I think there are no penalties. So you might want to check if you can file them off at zero, right? You probably want to check your account first. You already registered, so there's no point of commencement for someone like you. You've already commenced since. So you want
Yes.
to probably check those. If you say so, maybe what you can do is just DM me your what's it called, your login. Let's look at it together later.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So
Thank
that
you.
we decide what we can do. Yeah.
Then also, are we
Because
supposed to pay
LSU
tax
should
for
be
our
allowed to solve.
workers? Hello,
Yes,
can
you're
you hear
supposed to
me?
pay. Yes,
Okay.
yes, you're supposed to pay tax for your workers. But like I was explaining, if you're a business name, it's not really something you are deduct against your what's it called against your income tax all over because you are not really paying income tax. So you might want to
Okay.
under declare to reduce what you'll be paying, right? Because at the after
Okay.
paying, nobody's really coming to come and check with audit statement and all of that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you understand because you're not filing any audited statements. So for most business, you are safe. You probably under declare the tax. That's the income of the the staff and pay something
Staff.
small
Okay. Okay.
and just have a tax footprint. That's what I would just recommend for that one.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
evening.
ma'am. Good evening, Sherry.
Yeah, my good evening. Okay, so my name is Cherry. Yeah. I run a bakery business. But I registered it as a business limited enterprise. But my stuff is not up to 25 million yet. And I just wanted to know, do I need to move to an LLC or just still remain under the business name?
No matter how much you make,
Yeah.
even if you make 1 billion, never don't try it.
Wow.
And simply because bakery is not valuable, right? But by the time you move to LSE, you'll not be paying company income tax. So at the moment right
Okay.
now, the only thing you'll be filing is 0000000. So why are you moving?
Oh, okay.
You get so no matter how much you make, please don't pay that. I mean I say
Oh,
don't pay that. Don't migrate anywhere.
okay. All right.
Unless maybe you want to go and collect government contract and be supplying a sort of bread. You can now migrate.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, good evening, Mena.
Good evening.
Please, my
I
dad
can hear you.
founded three businesses. Yes, he founded three businesses before he died. So the first one was in
Mhm.
1997, the second one 2000, and the third one 2001. But he made
And they
me a
never born
director
me.
just on paper. Hmm?
Okay.
So he
Say
made me a
1997, I
director
said they never
just
born
on.
me that time.
So he made me a director just on paper. However, he died in 2023, and he was the sole signatory for all these accounts. But now that I'm a director and with all the backlog for taxes, because I'm not sure he has ever paid tax for any of these accounts, but they're all companies, LLC. So my question is, as a director now, will I have to pay taxes going back all those years?
It's not you that is paying the taxes, it's the company that is paying the taxes.
Okay.
So the question now is, first of all, you probably want to find out if you are registered, right, with the tax
Mm-hmm.
authorities. No, like I've been
Okay.
saying, for your case, you can easily. Do you know how many years is that? Nobody has the capacity to pay all of those backlog. So you can always negotiate and bring it up to date, which is the commencement that I've been preaching if you've been in my class, right? But you first of all have to even find out where are the companies, where the offices are, if they've already been registered. If not, then you might want to bring it forward, right? So in this your case, and just a case of negotiating now, you start paying going forward. Looking back will just be the even the cost of the audit alone will be more than the taxes that you will be paying. So it's just and unless you don't have the record, maybe beside bank records and all of that. So it might just be too messy. Your best bet now is to use the commencement route, right? Where are you
Okay.
located?
Abuja.
Oh, okay, Abuja. So your best bet now will be using the commencement route. You can negotiate and bring your what's it called your commencements up to date. That will be so at least to avoid all of those previous liabilities, right? And I think I have somebody in Abuja. If you don't have somebody, then maybe you can reach out to me or share that person's contact with you and see how they can basically help you with that. But that would
Okay,
basically be your
thank
best
you.
bet. Because going backwards is detrimental to the company's health.
Because even though it's been 2 years since he died, I still can't get access to those accounts. It's
Or even up
the
to now.
CAC, even up to now, it's CAC court, CAC court, CAC court. So there's no even way for us to get those records.
Oh, okay. Wow. But you should have a death certificate. I'm not a lawyer, sure, but I think you'll be able to or stuff
No,
that it
I've
might just
I've
take time.
done the legal processes. I've done the legal processes already. But it's more
Oh,
like
okay.
I don't know, there's a huge because he was a lawyer, so there's like, let's say, personal sentiments attached to it. So it's like, oh, go here, go here, go here. So I just need to know because since last year, businesses have commenced for the three of them, restructuring and everything. So businesses have commenced, but we haven't paid any tax.
Okay. You might as well just like I said, you can bring your commencement date forward, right?
Okay.
And that's just the only thing you can actually do because, like I said, everybody's records are different. FRS have their own record. So if you say with FRS that you commence business this year, that is what it is. It's as simple as that, right?
Okay.
So I think it can fly. And maybe you update your CAC documentation and use it to do the new registration.
Okay.
But that's your best bet. Just bringing your commencement date forward and forget about the past.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're past our bedtime. Thank you, everybody. If you need any further help, you can basically drop the message in the group or text me individually. And please don't be hiding me. Or you can post me on your stories and recommend my class to people. Thank you very much and good night.
Good night. Thank you.